And you're thinking more of, you're thinking more of like, no, I think one side is looking at this in terms of like the greater monetary loss. I'm looking at this like what's right.
So, well, that's a good question.
What's the person here doing? So
It wasn't just you in the business.
He lied, or he persuaded people to and if you say,
all right, go ahead and gravitate towards your final decision. Yes, I should have gone to bankruptcy court over here. No, over on the camera side.
That's right, that's my problem. I don't think it was as good as it is. But you can't force someone to go to court. If everyone who's enough money agrees on it, then that's it. If all of us agree, then there's no reason to break.
if I suffer a loss, just as much. Like, you're not going to get $700 million out of my pocket.
I think we go. Do we go back to our side?
You want to clarify we're not.
But then if you think about it,
Yeah, go back to your final side.
they're all backed by the
All right. Jefferson, she convinced you? No. Go make a final.
He just doesn't want to come.
All right. So no one changed their mind. Okay, go ahead and have a seat for a minute. We'll discuss this briefly.
There's no data
30 more
there. We can't
seconds.
convince.
30 more seconds?
30 more.
Wait, what do you think? Emily, are you close? 30 more seconds?
Yeah, and like I don't disagree with anything they're saying. Everything they're saying is right, but it's still so gross.
Okay, good. Okay, so how did the team that talked with Emily address that? That she agreed logically with absolutely everything you said, but there's still a reason why you weren't able to convince her.
I think we have to try and empathize with her. Yes, we understand, yeah, it's gross. It sucks for everyone involved. But in this case, a bunch of adults trying to be adults and salvage a bad situation, make the best of it, and have the most positive outcome considering the mistakes they've all made.
Okay, good. Say.
I think it would be interesting to just like start without the name from, because the problem is like when our discussion, we were talking about what happened after, right? Like, so she was on the other side, so she's like, yeah, but what happened afterwards? He continued to do this, and we were like, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about right now. We're just talking about this one thing. So because of all this.
1991, I was talking about what happened yesterday and this. Like I felt like all the other people who were working with him, doing business with him, everybody got messed up because he got away.
Yeah.
Now he has $10 million to me, other people had to fight bankruptcy because of him. So I totally agree with the data, but I morally I think it was very wrong to let him go again. Because it didn't solve the purpose, he came back to do it over and over again.
Yeah.
So it was not something that's not right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very valid point. Like, think about what happened afterwards. And I've had people, when I've done this in the past, who've said, well, because he got away with this, that's what caused the 2008 recession. Because he created an environment where we could get away with this, and that person made a compelling argument. And so I think it's very valid.
That's exactly what we were talking about. I think we agreed on most of the points. If we agreed to disagree, but my stance was that, had this happened in 91, we went through the courts, and they set precedents for the bailout and taught lessons that we face later.
Yeah, good. All right, so good logic. And okay, go ahead.
I don't see it that way at all, because in this case, it's not really a bailout, it's people actually taking a hit themselves. They're losing value and equity. So they're suffering from their own poor calculations and decisions in terms of being creditors to someone who really wasn't that credit worthy. So whereas the bailout is people not suffering the consequences of their own decisions, it's other people suffering the consequences of their decisions and mistakes.
Okay.
So just the response, my stance was that I just thought he should have gone to court. I wasn't making the decision of whether or not he would be held accountable, but it should have reached a certain level to teach those lessons and so more people could learn.
So what I'm most interested, these are all great points. This is all fantastic logic. And what I'm most interested in this exercise is how you approach convincing someone who has strong opinions on the logic, strong opinions on the ethics, a strong emotional, rational, mental basis in their decision. How do you have a discussion with someone who is steadfast in their belief as a result of those things?
So I think the first step they have to do is come to a common ground and agree with them on some aspect to show that you're both on the same page. But if you take a step back, here's kind of the rational, bigger picture from your standpoint. So yeah, I think you have to make that initial connection. Otherwise, you're just two opposing forces.
Yeah, two opposing forces, both strongly grounded in your beliefs. Maybe it's emotional, maybe it's rational, and that's one thing I love about this question, that people get passionate about their answer to this. So how do we have a discussion about that? Did I see a hand up? So, yes, Dave.
Something that we did in our group was kind of probe for what he really believed. So, the individual was a yes person, we're trying to convince no, that you don't necessarily need to go to court for everything. So we boiled down the argument to, does everything need to go to court or just the things that you can't come to an agreement on? And that's where we kind of found the individual on a tipping scale. And, so that...
Who are you talking about? Wait, Alex? Okay.
I agree with everything that they're saying, but I think we were looking at this in two different ways. Like, they were thinking of this, should Trump have been made personally liable in terms of, and they were thinking about what's the best or more strategic thing for the creditors. I was thinking of it more as like in terms of morals and in terms of, and also like you don't know what's going to happen in court. And he obviously does have a lot of assets in themselves. They lost $750 million. Maybe going to court they would have lost less. So I thought, in my opinion, I think you should personally liable in court. But I did agree with a lot of things they were saying.
Okay.
But I don't think I can be convinced.
Yeah, it sounds like there were some great strategies. All right, let's empathize, let's figure out what we can agree on, and then let's discuss. And that's what we want to do from an emotional intelligence standpoint. One thing that maybe you saw me get worried about how we were going to break up the groups when I saw we had 4 people on this side and everyone else on this side was that it's hard to have this discussion when it's 4 against 1 or 5 against 1. How did you all on this side feel about that? How did that make a difference in the way this conversation happened? Alex?
I was intimidated at first. But it's taken over. To the point, the group came over, empathized, got on the same page first, and set the tone on a level playing field for all the discussions that was in there.
Do you think if you talked with maybe one person, there would have been more of a chance that either they would have convinced you or you would have been able to convince them?
I don't think so. I think if it's lopsided, I think the stronger number might have the advantage.
Yeah, well, in a way they have the advantage, but they really, I wouldn't say they have the advantage in the type of scenario we're trying to construct, which is how can we actually convince you to come over to the other side? So if they scare you, they're not going to convince you to come over to the other side. I mean, rarely people will like say, okay, I agree with you because I'm scared. I mean, sometimes it can happen, but...
I'm saying you're hearing logic from multiple people instead of just ones that are validating each other.
Good point, fantastic. Renee?
I think if it was one-on-one, like if it was me talking with Al, I probably would have gone to his side because I guess just in my personality, I'm always on the fence. Like, I can see both sides so clearly that I can't just be like, no, like, this is why I'm right.
Okay, so
But
one-on-one.
that's just me.
Okay, so if it was just one-on-one, there would be more of a chance for him to convince you. All right, that's interesting insight. Lei?
Yeah, so when multiple people is talking to one people, it seems we're taking advantage. And we keep talking and we don't give her the chance to explain or talk back to us. So it's kind of the situation that, in this case, she may not change her mind. When facing multiple people, she's gonna insist her mind. And another point is that, we just have about 5 or 8 minutes about this. In this short period of time, usually people don't have enough time to really think about all of the information. So maybe if we really need to convince people, we have to be very patient. Like when we buy a car, the car dealers take about 3-4 hours to talk to us, and they take a long time to help us, change our mind and follow his thoughts. So the patience is very important.
Okay, great point. So Lei recognizes that in order to convince someone, you need to hear them and let them talk, let them feel like they've been heard. And so there's less of an opportunity with multiple people. And also maybe later tonight when Emily's trying to drift off to sleep, she'll be like, oh, all right, Trump should get off the, or should have gotten off the. All right, so some final thoughts quickly? Yeah, Emily, did you have a quick thing?
Not really quick.
We have time.
No, sorry. This reminds me of a really great This American Life episode that I listened to, where they literally played clips of somebody that was canvassing, and they were talking about abortion, and literally in 20 minutes changed this woman's mind. And the way they did it was not by talking about the issues, the stuff that's loaded. This is Trump, it's a loaded idea already. What they did is let her talk, got to the roots of why she believed what she believed. So it wasn't about I agree with everything you said. That I just got up deciding that I was going to be morally right today. Today I was like, all right, we're going the right way on this one. So if they had let me talk about that, then I probably would, kind of broken that down. Why are you being morally right today if you're not morally right yesterday? I don't know. So I was on the fence to start also. So you have to get to the root of it all first.
Yeah, so,
Anyway,
okay.
I'm gonna send you guys that clip because it was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so two
There's some
really
cool
interesting
studies
things.
going on
Thank you
this.
for taking the extra time to explain that. So, one was, even though Emily agreed with everything that you said, she didn't feel there was enough chance for her to explain just the root of why she felt what she felt. And it sounds like you're hinting at the possibility that if you had been able to express that, you would have realized, okay, maybe I don't need to be morally right today. I can follow logic today.
Yeah, and they did a great job empathizing. They were like, yes, it is morally wrong. And we all agreed on that, but we never got to, why do I care about that, though?
So why do you specifically? And they could have
If they
uncovered.
had been able to break that
And you would have
down.
said, oh, well, I woke up this morning, I decided this morning that I want to be morally right. And
Yeah.
and maybe they would have been able to convince you on the logic of that. Not, you don't need
Yeah,
to
and
be
the logic, I agree. It did save a lot of time, effort, money, work. But that
Good.
wasn't enough for me today with this woman.
Okay, got wrap it up for us
Just,
now.
I think everyone on this side was thinking morally right, and we agreed with them. And I think Nick and Jim were saying, well, it's not legally wrong for it to end up this way. So we're thinking legally, clearly it was okay. We agreed that it was wrong, but not legally.
Okay.
So when we're thinking court, we're thinking law,
Mhm.
and you didn't break the law, then they made a deal, even though morally it was.
It's not a moral court. It's a legal court.
It's
Okay.
not against the law.
I felt like they could have used this opportunity to change the law.
We can talk about that too.
Switching sides.
You switch
After all this talk, I'm on this side now.
All right, we got
That's right. After all this talk, I'm on this side now.
Fantastic. All right, excellent. So one person was convinced with good emotional intelligence techniques. Everyone else raised very sound, logical points. And I hope you got a lot out of thinking about how people approach and how you can approach that type of discussion. Let's move on to some conversation scenarios. How I want to do this is I want to break up into small groups and have you practice some of these conversation scenarios amongst yourselves and then we'll come together and do a few of them as a class. So I'm going to have you in a moment break up into teams of 3, and I've got 3 different difficult conversations in a professional type of setting scenario for you. And I have instructions. Oh, we already talked about intention versus impact, labeling. We got all that. Okay. All right. So instructions first. We're going to form groups of 3, and we're going to have 3 different roles. One person is going to be initiating this difficult conversation. One person is going to be receiving. One person is just going to be observing. So we'll start with the initiator initiating this conversation. The receiver will respond based on how you think this person would respond in this type of scenario. Observer will take some notes, give the initiator some notes, try the conversation again, and then switch roles. And we have 3 different exercises. And with a group this size, I want everyone to get a chance to do it, so that's why I'm going to have everyone break up into teams of 3, and then we'll do maybe some of these as a class, maybe some of the later ones as a class. So let's have everyone get into groups of 3, and we'll see where we are with that. So form groups of 3, and I'll see if I need to do any rearranging such. Okay, all right, good. So that's fine. You can be a group, and I'll observe a little bit, and you don't necessarily need an observer. You could just be receiver or initiator for each of them. Okay, so start with the first one. Decide who's going to be the initiator, receiver, observer. Take just a minute to read the scenario. Think about how you want to approach this conversation with good emotional intelligence concepts. Questions versus statements, labeling, intention versus impact, and other good communication techniques that we've covered.
We're all going through these 3 scenarios, right? You'll be Pat. We don't want to talk to JP. Sales have been great. It's been great. Really good. Who's the receiver?
I'll be the receiver. Wait, am I Pat? Pat's boss.
I mean, we're all going
I can be Pat.
Why did you think it was Pat? Because I was thinking about it too.
Well, you know, it's been rough. Volume's been very low. You know, some of the guys on the team haven't been performing the way they should. I personally sat down with a few of them. It seems like we have an issue with the way with my management. So I've tried to sit down with them and resolve it and try to get to do with them, but they don't want to talk about it.
So, I talked to him and I got this same, right? They clearly can't use and now we have a situation where it's been there for a long time. It's sort of hard to displace.
Oh, of course.
So, you either have to replace them with sales right?
Which I don't think is a great idea in a business standpoint.
So, do you think there's something that you can do to bring them along, or are we sort of?
Absolutely. What I can do is try and sit down with them on a less professional level, and maybe more on a friendly level, just to try and get to the root of what the underlying issue is, and I can try and talk to them.
So what support do you want? How can either myself or the rest of the organization help support you there?
Sure. I think at first, let me myself give it a try, and then, because I don't want them to feel threatened with upper management coming into the picture, but if necessary steps need to be taken going forward, then I may need your assistance.
Okay.
So let's maybe check back in about a week, and I'll sit down with the folks.
Is that good? Right.
Your boys are great. I respect that. So,
The only other thing I would do in this conversation is possibly set, quarterly and club sales numbers ultimately make the district perform again. I need you to put together a recommendation as to how you're going to address this. They need to be helped. We can either work with these folks or we can't work with these folks. One of these doors, the action plan that you're going to take is to follow the action plan that we developed together. So be it. We understand being moved here. Can't stop.
Yeah, I think when it comes to how can you be a part of it, I guess in creating that action.
I don't know why that matters. It was good a long time ago, and 30% of your teams are like,
Wait, what? Are we still on the first narrative?
I don't know if you're going to help us switch.
Yeah, just keep going.
We'll switch.
but I also didn't get it done.
Going through all the scenarios, or do we wait for you?
Yeah, no, good. When you're ready to go to scenario 2.
I gotta be the guy with
Wait, oh, so I'm talking to Chris. Are you Hey Chris, how are you? Good. How's your day going? I see you got a little side thing, a little blue thing. Let me start over.
I'm married, so I technically have a side thing too, so I'm not sure
Hey, good morning, Chris. How are you? Good. I was actually wondering if I could speak with you for 2 minutes. Personally, I don't really mind too much. This doesn't affect above me, but I'm the supervisor supervising 18 professionals and support staff. One of the support staff which I've heard from a few companies here and there that may have a love interest. Then again, none of my personal business, but when it comes to a professional environment, I do have to address the issue. I just want to make sure that we're kind of on the same playing field and on the same understanding that your personal life stays outside the professional environment and doesn't affect all the other professionals do their job. Well, just right, but just the fact that you being too affectionate has been a little bit distracting for the others. So although your performance has been marvelous, I have no doubt about it. It's affecting other people's performances as a team. So it just felt like me personally, it doesn't really have to do outside of work, but let's just try and keep it outside of work and not let it distract the rest of the team. Also, people have heard that may have because of the relationship that you may give her special preferences over other people, which is just natural, it happens, and I understand, but, just keep it from your personal life separate from I'm sorry, I don't think that's appropriate to, it doesn't really even matter.
Good job.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously these people would want to stay anonymous, which is why they came to me. It's more professional for me to approach you as your supervisor. Resolve it this way.
Are you diverted?
Don't take it personally. Yeah.
Where we may use this more often.
Yeah. If you feel like you need to have a personal conversation after. Yeah. Well, sorry. Right. Yeah. Don't feel like you're being put on the spot. I just wanted to address you as a colleague and a supervisor. Forget the first part.
So a couple of things. So I like your inquiries here. Back to who are going to talk. I would like to talk to them so that I can learn more about what they said or what I'm doing, so I can correct the behavior. I don't think you address the actual behavior. So that people are right. So you talked about you should know your conversation. You should sort of know what's right and just go ahead and do what's right. But he said back to you, I don't think that my behavior's changed. So you have to.
Well, no, he said I don't think my performance has changed, not behavior. Like.
Yeah, say my performance.
Yeah, like your performance in the job.
I changed.
Yeah, so either way, his attitude back to him is sort of providing preferential treatment. So I think if you try it again, just try to address the fact that maybe say, it would be helpful if you were more, if you could try to be more aware of how you're interacting with Susie and how that's being observed by others. Just try to be more aware of your behavior and how people are observing you, because perception is reality, and if people think you're providing treatment, then they will act in that manner. So just, so I don't know what corrective action or behavior is supposed to be to me.
Well, it was more like an FYI. Like there are complaints. It just says like talk to Chris about the fact that people are feeling uncomfortable with giving Susie preference. And how they were feeling uncomfortable. It's kind of just like, I just kind of adjust rather than corrective action. It's more like, hey, like, keep your private life separate from your work life.
So when I enter a difficult situation like this, any difficult situation, I think that doesn't really matter what it is. I try to figure out how, this is just a personal view, how I can offer 2 or 3 solutions to the problem, choose and how it is to go about it. Or we could just basically say, hey, somebody thinks you're a jerk. That doesn't really what are you supposed to do with that other than walk away feeling right? So, hey, so-and-so thinks you're a jerk. I can't tell you, or 3 people in the office think you're a jerk. I like this what kind of behaviors that they're sort of, that they're complaint is triggered from, and maybe pay a little more attention to those behaviors. Right? Don't talk so much about your boat. So when you go out on your boat, you can talk about the great fun you had with your family and not the yourself. Because I know you want to tell people about what you did this weekend and everything, right? So it's just, that is sort of, it's always the approach I take in any conflict scenario. How do I give the person that I'm basically telling back?
I guess I feel like,
how do I give them something? I don't feel relation that they can
what you were at. I mean, I know you're after, but it's not like
tell me You have to talk to me because my coworkers think well,
you started out, and then at the end it was kind of like,
it's up for us.
all right.
Go to my
Somebody has come to you to talk about my personal hygiene. Really?
There's not that
What do I Why is this so funny? No, it's hilarious.
Yeah, unfortunately, they came this morning. It's not the first time. Situations. You was
Sorry, Jamie. I don't know.
Well, I don't have that. I don't work with you that. Two employees came to me this morning. It's been a couple of weeks.
It just seems like a really mean thing to say. I mean, who are these 2 jerks?
Well, I can say names.
I think the way I would do it,
It's not appropriate.
like, hey Jamie, you do such a great job for us. I have to have a
Well, why
conversation.
don't you spend some time with me over my cubicle? That's a little uncomfortable.
It just got just
Ridiculous. Maybe they just don't like the curry that I eat.
I mean,
Can I talk to these 2
Hey, I'm Indian over here.
we don't have to go. Well, I can do that. I can spend the next few days and see if I have something more personal.
Yeah, because
Everyone tells me.
I don't think it's a problem. I mean, I have a shower in my house, and I walk past it on my way to work.
Definitely, well, it's something that you need to be aware of. Take the coworkers for one. So just keep it again. FYI. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know how to sandwich it.
There's no pigs, I guess.
So go back in my smelly kid.
Draw it out. It's super cute. All this confidence. By the way,
The only observation was, you mentioned, like, is there something going on at home, like going on in your personal life? I kind of wish you expanded on that a little more and kept that as a focus, because I feel like when you said you would be able to offer solutions, it's like you're bringing up the topic, but on a more concerned note, like making sure you're your mental well-being.
I think you should have an opinion as to whether or not I see. Because if you don't think I see,
well, he's a manager, so he's obligated to come in.
no, it's not. It's never obligated. Just because you send me an email doesn't mean you have to send a response. Just because two people came to complain to me, that doesn't mean those complainers might say that, but is their complaint essentially valid? If their complaint's not valid, they need to be counted.
That's why you asked me to go to you. Yeah, validate and confirm.
No, but he wants validation about his smells from you.
Prior to you just observing.
like you almost don't.
Or I guess during this meeting when you asked him, like, do you think I smell? And you were like, no, I don't really.
I'll probably, yeah, but I'm not.
It's like a
I would say it's really good for sure saying, I'm trying to give an opinion on that right now. What I'm going to say is very welcome to guys. And so you did accomplish
I'm sure I know.
that's my biggest.
Oh, maybe he could have been like, why don't you take a few days off?
He's giving you he's going to make his own personal observation and spend extra time with you, so he's got that opportunity over the course of the week.
Okay. I think that is another plausible option that I would investigate this further and realize that you have brings a lot of extra work for yourself. Not to resolve personal or emotions and say this is the problem.
Lingers.
I agree, get rid of the two damn complainers. I think through observation he's got the opportunity to say, did you wear those pants yesterday? Did you go to the gym this morning? Or maybe you went to the gym at lunch? Came back? He's got no solution to offer me now other than people think their hygiene's poor. Do you need me to give you a book on
I feel like you have to be firm on that there is a problem with the hygiene
But I think people complain, particularly about the smell bad. They smell like bacon. It was in their hair.
This isn't like an indirect.
But it was in their hair because they started so they smelled. I want me to go and tell them that forgiveness. Yeah, I'm not having that conversation. I should just go back and deal with the fact that good luck to you. Why don't you freshen up your resume and pass it around?
But if it's like a versus like a
like circumstances out.
Yeah, no, I would go and talk to, you know, if
Or
they
at
said,
least
hey,
like
she comes back, goes for a long walk at lunch, comes back, you know, and then go and talk. Here's what I've been told, maybe some suggestions, here's the school, be sure when you walk around, and then you get your words there too, you can, you know, because ultimately they identify so if your coworkers are addressing that, unless they're dirty, if you show up to work and you're dirty and they just don't come in. Good personal hygiene, well, then just.
Yeah, I agree. Like as you're walking around there, it's spring.
You know, I worked at a place that had gym, whatever, volleyball courts, basketball courts, soccer field. And it was routine in the accounting department. The accounting department would work a 10-hour day because they play soccer for 70 minutes in the middle of the day. Every day. The accounting department is evil. I mean, they have 15, 16, you know, maybe 90,000 on the soccer every 3-4 days a week. So, you know, if you notice, I think the lower is some guys in the shower, a lot of people just been busy, so they're going back to work. Used to have 7 or 8 days. Like, you all showed up in some t-shirts this afternoon, and now you're all in t-shirts and shorts going which is allowed. It's allowed. Clearly it was encouraged, right? It was basketball, all the rest of it. But yeah, sometimes would you mind adhering to sort of our department norm? Schedule those meetings prior. Will never work. Will never work. Yeah, I think like I don't like so if you have that that's why it's a good
But honestly, like, if someone, like, I guess you have to kind of know the person, like, in your character, you were, like, offended. For me, I think I would be offended if it went to management, but I wouldn't mind if someone personally, like, came up to me and was like, okay, or maybe not say it in that sense, but, like, yeah, like, I would actually, like, respect that person for coming to me and telling me something that, like,
So you would respect them all.
unless you go to management. I personally don't go to management about anything. I try and just resolve it.
Culture should have some sort of norm that says you tell your coworker to spinach stuck in their teeth.
Yeah. I tell people all the time. I told my colleague all the time. She always eats like lettuce and spinach. I'm like, right there again. But it's like I've developed a good enough relationship with those people where I'm like, it's healthy at all. Do you guys?
But if they say somebody that you don't know that I never would.
I personally would still say if they had spinach stuck in their teeth.
You just need to
Oh, like if we were having a conversation, I would. But yeah, not if I was walking by.
No, right, have a conversation.
You gonna do it? Okay, all right, let's do it. All right, why don't you get in position? I've got 2 chairs set up.
You know, you're normally put together like that's just the back of your shirt. Well, yeah, I would kind of go back and find this is great. Just keep
All right, so we're going.
just sort of giving you the heads up. There's toilet paper's not
All right, I'm observing.
right? It's not.
Do you want me up there? Observe or can I observe?
Oh,
Oh,
your
yeah.
fly's open. It's like, why are you looking?
But you look good.
So funny.
All right, so we're going to come back together. Hopefully you're pretty much done. We have just one group who's finishing up, and they're going to do the last scenario for us to start off our discussion. Maybe you want to go ahead and have a seat. We've got Jamie has an issue that Lei is going to discuss. Lei, you're the initiator?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're the initiator. Okay. All right, fantastic. So we'll watch this to start our discussion of debriefing this exercise. Is that androgynous?
Do we have an observer?
The whole class.
Hold on. So, oh my God.
Can you just speak up?
Okay.
We can hear you.
So hi Jamie, how is it going?
Pretty good.
So first of all, I would do this in a very private, environment. So, it's great to have you on the team. I have something very personal to talk to you about. It has, when we all have things we need to work on, and it's come to my attention that some people, or it's come to my attention where, it's actually a very touchy subject. So it's the body odor we get from you sometimes, and it's okay. Everybody has, maybe there's a medical or there's something going on, but I just wanted to share the feedback that I've received. And if I were in your shoes, I would like to know. So that's the reason, as your manager, I'm sharing this something with you, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about. But this is something, maybe, have you heard this before?
I've never heard this before, and nobody ever mentioned this to me. I'm surprised it's become the issue. And and I'm also very surprised that my colleagues that don't talk to me, and it goes to the manager.
Yeah.
So if my order really make people feel bad, I apologize about this, but I'm not happy about the whole process. The people communicate with me.
And that's fair, and I think if I had an issue, a personal observation about something with somebody, I would have gone to that person directly. But I guess, maybe they didn't feel comfortable, but I do see your point. And I think that the good thing is that we both recognize that this is something that you have recognized, and that's come to me as well. So I just wanted to share, if we can take some steps towards that, I think that would be great.
Okay, I think that's, even if, there are many things I can improve.
Yeah.
And, it's, okay, I will give it a try. But, next time if somebody doesn't feel comfortable on that, and then they can talk to me directly.
Right. And I think that's a really good point. And I think, as you move forward, if you have any comments or feedback, do come to me as well. And that's why I'm here. So, yeah. Good.
Okay, that's it.
All right, excellent job. So we'll discuss that, and we'll think about how we approach this and the experience that you all had while you were doing this. So let's start with this as our framework. How effectively was this conversation approached, and was there an effective result? Yeah.
I think the approach was a bit direct at first. I think Lei's reaction seemed very authentic, as far as I think that's exactly how someone would react. They would be taken back a little bit. In conclusion, I think there definitely was a mutual agreement to kind of strive to make some clear how they were gonna make the changes, what, you know, the managers there to support them, and they kind of outright just said, you smell. Where I know in my scenario, I try to say, you know, we've gotten a few complaints that there's an odor in your area. If there's, you know, if there's an odor, whether it's, if there's something in your desk or your cube, we're absolutely committed to making sure whatever it is, that we can support it and get it, you know, taken care of. So I think making it less about the person and more about the situation would be.
Okay, so that's a good strategy. Make it more general in a sense and less personal. I really commend the way Vaishali empathized and made an attempt to connect. Like she said, it's very, very personal, and I so understand how you might feel based on how I would feel in this situation. I thought, even though, to Nick's point, I agree, in some situations, keeping it more professional, keeping it less, you know, about a personal feeling and more about this is just plain a rule that we need to adjust. I really like the way Vaishali approached it from an emotional intelligence standpoint. So, other thoughts?
In our group, he defended his body odor. He defended his body.
Okay.
Basically, the manager saying, "Nice your people, so why I have this odor?"
Okay.
And I'm not going to change anything about myself.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I thought I was thinking when I was hearing this group, David did a great job of defending his body odor as well, defending Jamie's body odor. And I thought about how I might change this question just to make it clear that this is a problem that needs to be changed. So, and that's what all these scenarios are about. It's about a business problem that needs to be addressed. And how can we use good emotional intelligence techniques to address that business problem?
Ours was still addressed though, but it was addressed, like he explained why. So his wasn't his body odor per se, it was like he had some oils and stuff that he had to use because it was getting
medical reasons?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to still use emotional intelligence because he was offended now. And then I had to also come up with a plan to address the issue with the rest of the coworkers now, knowing that he has to do this now. He's offended by this, and he's like, I might quit the company now because I don't feel comfortable here anymore.
Okay.
That solves the odor issue.
Oh my God.
That solves the odor issue though.
May not solve the lawsuit issue, but good points. Yeah, those are fantastic points, and that's why one of the reasons why I haven't made this question as specific as that. Daniel.
Yeah, I think Zaid brings up a good point, because in college we had someone who had a medical condition where his hands sweat too much. All his sweat glands produced excess. It was called like hyperhidrosis or something. And so anytime he was really wearing a dress shirt, you just see his pits. Like, you know, for him it'd be embarrassing, but when people approach him about it, they would never think that it was a medical condition.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's good to practice emotional intelligence and ask, you know, have you experienced some type of medical condition, or is this something that's come up in the past, or trying to tiptoe around it before you kind of plan.
Absolutely. Right.
So I'm thinking about the situation, you know, like the same scenario. If the initiator's approach is not perfect, and get the very defensive feedback right away, so what's the next?
Okay. So the receiver is defensive right away. You still need to use good emotional intelligence. You can't say, all right, I messed that up because I didn't use the right technique, or maybe they're just really defensive. What do you do at that point when the receiver is just defensive right off the bat? Shruti.
Make your intentions known?
Yeah, sure. Make your intentions known. This is not personal. This is the way I'm trying to address a business problem. Now, Mike and Ricky, how would you address that if the initiator or receiver is defensive right off the bat?
Go ahead.
What I'm trying to think is, okay, if he's being defensive, maybe I would be like, okay, you know, it's nothing personal. Maybe go and say, okay, I don't know about saying my intentions, but be like, how you mentioned it, it's a business decision, it's
you know,
Business problem, yeah.
problem, yeah, business problem, which we have to resolve, and you being on the defensive side isn't gonna help. So let's work it out, you know, if you don't agree, why you don't agree, because there are all these people who are agreeing to it, and we definitely feel there's a problem.
Great strategy. So maybe this intention versus impact issue comes into this. So the person who is defensive, maybe they don't feel like they're being defensive, but they're creating an impact where they are. And they're like, why are you messing with me? Shruti.
You probably lessen the impact by downplaying how serious it is. It's not really a serious, big reason. But this is, you know, it's a very small thing, you know, it's a silly thing, but, you know, I still have to address it, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, make it feel like it's not a big deal, and they will not, you know, they won't get as offensive as they might have if you said, I have a business reason to discuss this with you, or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Good strategy. Good strategy. Definitely, I have seen folks get into trouble with that strategy sometimes if it turns into a situation where this is not a problem that needs to be addressed. And they just end the conversation with, okay, all right, thanks for mentioning that to me. Mary?
Like Nick offered me solutions, like just gradual steps to kind of, let's just try this first and then this, and once we get rid of the other odors, then it would come down to whether it's really me. And then he offered his personal email, if you want to talk after this, you know, it's creating, you know, it's a, did you say distraction? Something like that.
Yeah.
In, with your work group, so let's see if we can just ease out of this distraction, and so everyone can be comfortable. He very personable, and he just seemed like he wanted to really listen to me.
Yeah, so I hear two things in what Marilyn said. One is he had a good process, and two, he cared about me. I think that's what it comes down to. Good process, and he cared about me, empathized. He understood where I was coming from, understood my emotional position, and was able to relate with me in a way that drew you to him. Did anyone have any thoughts or experiments with the questions versus statements aspect of this? Did anyone find themselves causing someone to go into emotional hijack with a strong statement, and they thought, oh gosh, I should have used a question? Anyone work with that during this exercise?
Yeah.
Jameson?
At the beginning of the first one with the sales guy and the team members, instead of me directly saying, we have a problem here regarding your relationship or with two of the different sales team leads, they're saying, it was recommended by Dan that I ask, so what's going on with the sales situation? Why are the numbers down? And letting the person who's being questioned kind of set the ground for, explain what's going on, and at least offer up his position before you start saying there's an issue.
Fantastic. I like that strategy as well. Lavanya?
So the same thing happened with us in the first scenario. He was the initiator, and all of it was mostly questions from his side, which gave me a lot of chance to explain.
Okay.
So at a point, as the observer, he felt like there was a little bit of emotion when he started to see that, can I meet with you and your two sales reps? And I was very defensive about him not meeting anybody. I said, let me solve the problem before getting him to you. So if he had posted a sentence saying, yeah, I need to meet with them, I would have probably...
Just even the way you say that, just makes me like,
Yeah,
get
so
scared.
he asked it as a question. He said, can I meet with them? Will it be okay? But do you want to meet? So that was, I thought, was a good strategy that helped me a bit.
Okay, fantastic. So good strategy with questions. Let's keep going. Everyone's okay to keep going just a little while longer, right? We don't need to get a break. We're just got a little bit more, and then we'll go. Let's do a couple of these scenarios as a class, and that will just provide more of a forum for us to continue discussing, and maybe if there's some things you thought of that you did during your small group work, or you thought this really worked well or didn't work, you can bring that up at the same time. Let's just do 2 more scenarios as a class, and we'll think about this just with that frame. So let's take a look. Let's do the Rutgers Business School team problem one. This may be a scenario which you all have encountered. All right, so you
are an MBA student at Rutgers Business School, and you have worked on several team projects with the same group of students in your finance class. One team member, Alex,